let's just for the exercise say, understand, this is not definitely accurate, but let's just for the exercise, can we acknowledge at this point anyway that without space there'd be no objects? Can we do that? Yeah. Objects need to, appear in something. If you remove space, there's nowhere for an object to reside. Can we agree to that, just for the hell of it? Yeah. Okay. Now, space we don't notice. It's profound. We don't notice it. Yet, without it, there'd be no objects. So the mind is conditioned to grab a hold of things, objects. Like space is like nothing. Space only becomes a thing if you, I don't know, run out of petrol out in the country or something. You've got to walk 10 miles to get some petrol, and then the mind will be walking along going, oh God, 10 miles to a petrol station? Are you kidding me? God, I was a fool not to check my petrol gauge, blah, 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 blah. So if we can agree, just for the moment anyway, that objects are dependent on space, the reverse is true too, but let's just run with this, that objects are dependent on space, and we know how vast space is. What's the space dependent on?
Time.
Mrs. Freud. Close but no cigar, Lizzie. What's space dependent on? Remember a moment ago I said, as human beings, all we notice are things. We don't notice space. You just don't notice it. Yeah? We see things. We hear things. We touch things. We taste things. We smell things. We don't notice the space. No clue. No clue. Has no value. Because mind interprets it as a no thing. It's nothing. No value. Zero value. Are you kidding me? Zero value. Without space, there'd be no universe. There'd be no things in it. No objects, nothing without space. And yet we're interested in the things. Don't notice the space. Could you have an object without space? Nope. Now, what's space dependent on?
Consciousness.
Remove the space, what happens to the things? There'd be no things if we remove the space. Yeah. And we only have a conceptual understanding as to how vast space is. Purely conceptual. There's 100 million light years or something from one side of just our galaxy, our own galaxy, from one side to the other. Traveling at the speed of light, it would take you 100 million years to get from one side to the other. That's just our galaxy. It's a grain of sand, our galaxy. Now, what's the space dependent on? Without which there'd be no space. That we never notice. Just like we never notice space.
Things.
Things. The things are in space, Lizzie. Apparently.
It's
This is so basic. It's so basic.
air.
And it's so obvious. Air, did you say air?
Yes, air.
Air's definitely a part of space.
It's not consciousness.
Arises in space.
It's not consciousness, Terry.
Yeah.
That is.
But I guarantee the mind will have a concept of what consciousness is. So I'm trying to get you to rather than the right answer, I'm trying to get you to experience this that I'm talking about. Rather than grab it as a concept, as an idea and go, oh yeah, good, got that one. Next. No. It's got to be a direct experience.
It feels alive. There's something here, like right here, and it's everywhere. It's like a strange loop. I feel it like all over.
Yeah.
I love that space or whatever words, but yeah.
Yeah.
Energy. I like the word energy.
Yeah.
Feels like energy everywhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Space, energy, both those labels are wrong. But we can run with them. Yeah. Until we don't need to. What happens to space and objects and things when you put your head on the pillow at night and become unconscious?
They disappear.
In deep, deep sleep. Where's space and things?
They disappear because you're not conscious.
So what gives rise to space and things?
Consciousness.
And we don't notice it.
Hmm.
We don't notice it. We're too busy with the me, which is interpreted as a thing. Separate entity, a thing. Yeah.
What happens to the bed you're sleeping on at night?
Great question. Please give me the answer to that.
Doesn't just disappear, not lying on air.
It doesn't disappear as far as who knows.
My body.
Well, your body knows. So when you go to sleep at night, the body's going, pretty cool. Lizzie's still asleep, but I'm still here and I'm on the bed. Like, come on. Sorry, Liz, I had to challenge that.
That's fine.
Where does the body go in deep sleep? Is there a body? Interesting topic today. Don't know where this all came from, but anyway. I'm just trying to get you all to notice what for our whole life we haven't noticed.
Well, direct experience, the answer is no.
So the direct experience, the answer is no what?
No body.
Now, who's there in the direct experience to say no body?
This.
It's a knowing. There is a knowing. Now, here's where it can get a little confusing. There can be no consciousness, or consciousness is absent, and the world disappears. The universe disappears. The body in the bed, Lizzie, disappears. All disappears. Yet, if someone was to walk into your room whilst you are dead to the world, just not even dreaming happening, gone, not there, and called out your name, what happens then?
You become aware of it.
First, there is awareness, followed by the opening of the eyes and then consciousness. And right at that point, the world bursts into being.
Mm.
Often people get awareness and consciousness confused to be the exact same thing. Consciousness is the fluid, if you like, yeah, or the medium by which seeming duality happens. Yeah. We become conscious of, there's your two, straight up. That's the division, conscious of. The way back, if you like, is to reside as consciousness only. And then when the mind goes into absolute, complete abeyance, zero, then one is in, I have to say it like this, it's incorrect, but then one is in a state of pure awareness. And there's no division in it. It's like consciousness morphs into awareness. Conscious of, in the pure, absolute, pure direct experience, the direct experience of consciousness, effectively you'd call that awareness. There's no duality that arises there. And consciousness, as I keep trying to point to, that's the gateway. Not the destination. It's the gateway. Conscious of is a product of mind. It's an idea. The duality only resides in the mind. It's not outside of thinking. There's no duality outside of thinking. None. In the process, we've become less and less interested in mind, less and less. And then at some point, instead of being interested in mind, or things, or places, or the world, or whatever, there's a turning that occurs. And there becomes an interest in consciousness itself. And you'll sometimes hear teachers use the pointer, okay, now become aware of consciousness. It's still two, but it's trying to highlight consciousness. And consciousness is still, compared to being conscious of the mind, which is just It's all over the place. That turning begins to happen. The pointer will be conscious of being conscious. Be aware of being conscious. That pointer is still dualistic, because it's implying someone or something that now can be aware of consciousness as something. And that's okay for a moment. That's just what happens. And at some point, just by sitting home, conscious, just by sitting home, there, the duality ceases, mind ceases, and the consciousness becomes pure awareness. Not aware of anything, because it is everything. At that point, there's nothing to be aware of. Therein lies the absolute, as it's often, that word is often used to describe. Pure awareness. Only just aware. Now, mind's going to struggle here because mind works dualistically, and mind is expecting this awareness to be aware of something. And that would be consciousness prior to awareness. It's not that there's two states or two places. It's not that there's consciousness and awareness, because there is only one. Whilst we're trying to be conscious of consciousness, there's two. But it's still, consciousness is still, it's calm, it's still, it's quiet. It's just beautifully still. There might be just a little bit of mind at this point. Little bit. You might say, oh, this is good. This is still. Oh, this is so peaceful. This is so calm. That little bit of mind's huge improvement from, what am I missing? When am I going to get this? Why can't I see this non-duality? I've been on this path forever. Oh God, now my husband or wife is driving me nuts because I'm trying to just focus on non-duality and they keep distracting me and blah, 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 blah. Big story. Big story. Yeah. Dive into that stillness. Reside there. Only there. Even if it feels for a moment like, kind of feels like it's a me that's residing there. Okay, that's all right. Leave that. Just reside there. Into that stillness, into that calmness. Right there. It's the gateway. All is revealed by residing there. The duality finally ceases by residing there. And your true nature is then revealed. Not as a thing, not as a you and I've got a true nature. I found my true nature. No. You are that. There's not even any commenting on it. The two stops.